The African DNA that just rewrote English history. Picture medieval England. You're probably thinking of tiny villages, totally cut off from the world after the Romans left, right? For centuries, that's the only story we were ever told. But what if I told you that story is completely wrong? And what if a single grave held a secret so big it could rewrite everything? For literally hundreds of years, the history of England seemed super simple. The Romans left, plunging the island into a so-called Dark Age. Then, invaders from northern Europe, the Angles, the Saxons, the Jutes, showed up, built kingdoms, and created England. In this story, England was basically a closed-off island, ethnically and culturally. But it turns out, that's not the full story. Not even close. The breakthrough came from the last place you'd expect. An old Anglo-Saxon cemetery. Archaeologists were digging up 7th century graves, and honestly, they expected to find the same old stuff. One grave looked completely normal. The person inside was buried with some basic items, and that was it. But this time, they did something different. They didn't just look at the bones. They decided to read the DNA. And that one decision changed history. The DNA results were absolutely insane. A young woman, buried in an English cemetery 1,300 years ago, had sub-Saharan West African ancestry. And this wasn't from thousands of years ago. The data showed her recent ancestors, maybe even a grandparent, came from a continent thousands of miles away. But it doesn't stop there. In a totally separate dig, another young man from the same time period, also had recent West African family. And then, hundreds of years later, a man buried near Ipswich had North African origins. The science is undeniable. People of African descent were living and dying in an England we thought was totally homogeneous. But this is bigger than just DNA. This is about a real person's life. And here's the craziest part. This young woman wasn't an outsider. She was buried exactly like everyone else in her Anglo-Saxon community, with her own knife and comb. They saw her as one of them. These individuals weren't just visiting. Isotope analysis proved the man from Ipswich lived there for over a decade. They were part of the community fabric. It wasn't us versus them. It was simply us. And that us was way more diverse than any history book ever told you. So, you're probably asking, how did they get to England? The answer reveals that the medieval world was insanely connected. Early medieval England wasn't some boring, isolated island. It was a destination. You had the legendary trans-Saharan trade routes linking West Africa to the Mediterranean. From there, people and goods moved all over Europe. These people could have been merchants, skilled workers, or even pilgrims. They are living proof that the movement of people across continents is not a modern thing. The idea of a completely isolated England has just been shattered. These discoveries are giving a voice to people who were completely erased from history. It proves that the past is never settled, and new secrets are always waiting to challenge what we think we know. If your mind is as blown as mine, hit that subscribe button for more history rewriting discoveries. And let me know what you think in the comments down below. The story of medieval England isn't just Vikings and kings anymore. It's now also the story of a young woman with African roots, buried right in the English countryside. It's an insane reminder that human history has always been about migration and connection. It makes you wonder, what other secrets are literally buried under our feet, just waiting to change the world all over again?